let ChatGPT decide the function. So what are we going to talk about today? So we are going to talk about function calling. The reason I wanted to do this topic because I feel like this is one of the most underutilized tool for developers who are using OpenAI, right? And the topics that we will be covering are what is function calling, first of all, models that support it. We will also see chat completion structure. We will see the flow, how you get it working, and the demo. So, how to make it work? You can poke it with a stick. I'm just kidding. It's like, what is function calling? So it's an API call for function to output a JSON object containing arguments. So what it basically means that if you have a list of function, the GPT model can decide which function to run according to the query. And the second part is it you can describe the type and the structure of the argument that you are getting from the chat completion. What that means basically is function calling doesn't give you answer directly. Function calling gives you the argument that you will need as an input in your defined function. So the flow looks like this. Chat completion gives you a JSON object which has all this different information like role, which is assistant, the content, the function call, and the arguments. So arguments, you extract it and then you give it as an input to your function. We will see the structure of these in very details. Uh, okay, so, the three major parts of chat completion: the model, the message, and the functions. So, model that support function call is GPT-4. I mostly use GPT 3.5 Turbo. It basically works well for my use cases. Uh, what are messages? So whenever you use chat completion, right, there is a section of role defining role and then the content. And if the role is the system, that means you are deciding the nature of the assistant. Mostly it is like act as a helpful assistant, but it can also be used to prevent hallucination. Like you can write, do not give any answer if you do not have, do not assume anything or from your side if you do not have the information. So the role system basically defines the nature of the assistant. If the role you give is the user, then the content act as a query. So you give role, user, content, then query. If the role is assistant, that will basically the response from the chat completion. So basically, if you have role user, you are inputting it to the chat completion. If you have a role assistant, that is acting as an output or response of the chat completion. Now, going to the structure, as I already discussed, there are three major parts: the model, the message, and the function. So we already discussed message here. The role is user. That means this content is your query. The function also have a very like a defined structure to it, right? The function should have a name. You can give any name, right? You have to describe it what this function is doing. So for example, I'm trying to find the I'm trying to write a function that gives me the key of the lowest value or the closest restaurant to me. So I'll write in the description, find the list value. Uh, and the parameters are basically what is the output, whatever the roles and assistant we saw before in the chat completion output. This is what defines it. So location will be the name of the argument, and the description, I highlighted this description in, because I feel like this is the most wow factor of function calling, because you can define the type you want to receive the argument in, so it is easy for you to feed it in your function. So I want my description as a list of all the restaurant and distance as a dictionary, restaurant name and its distance. The third is required distance, and the most important part again is the function call. So there are three modes of function call. Auto, you can define which function to. Auto basically means the model is selecting the function, and then there is this mode where you define this function to run always, and there's a none mode where you will say like, yeah, none of not this function. So this is the overall structure. I hope everyone like gets the structure. And now for the demo, we have like a three parts where we will write a call function calling and what it see, what is its output. We will also add more function and like a list of function and see if it selects the function in which function intelligently. And we will also use a wonderful vector database to connect it to the function with RAG. So let's get into the demo. Okay. Do we have any question meanwhile? It will be a good time to throw the questions. Okay. So let's get into the demo part. For the demo, I have made a fake kind of data that I live at a place where the pizza has at a 20 meters, KFC is at 10, and kitchen is at 15. And I will just, I will just try to find if it outputs KFC because this is the minimum distance. Uh, to So this is our function, my dictionary minimum key. We basically want to find the minimum key of the minimum value. So we are doing function calling for this input, right? So we will have to describe the function in a way it outputs for which is fit for this function, right? So tools is basically a list of function, and I'm talking about this particular function. So as I told you, in the structure there should be a name, get measure, description, get the list distance, parameters, properties. Name is location, so whenever we will get argument, we will get it's in the name of location. Type and description, list of all restaurant and distance as dictionary, restaurant name and its distance. Okay. Now the messages part. We saw a content measure the least distance with given restaurant and have attached the restaurant list. And this restaurant list needs to be formatted in this way. So I have done that part here. Uh, and don't worry about the notebook; it will be available after this talk. So if this, so as I told you, the role of the system. So this is basically defining the nature of our assistant. Don't make assumption, and what value to try to plug into function, ask for clarification, right? And this part, if the role is the user part, then the content become your query. So this is basically my query where I'm asking it to measure the list distance with given restaurant, and I'm also providing a restaurant list. Now, we have given chat completion, the messages which are appended to each other, and the tools. And the tools has two function already. There's a get current weather and there is a get measure. So let's see if it decides the get measure function first of all. So when we print the output of assistant message, see, we define role assistant. That means it is a response. Now, the function it decided is get measure. So voila, it decided get measure, not get weather, current weather. And it also given us the location, which I told you this portion will be the basically name of the arguments that we were getting. So all we have to do now is to extract this particular thing. And how do we extract it? Well, we get into the tool calls, which was basically this: get the first list, get the function here, and then get the argument here. Now, what we have is a dictionary with the restaurant name and its distance. The same thing that we defined over here. I want a list of all the restaurant and distance as a dictionary of restaurant name and its distance. So we are aligned to the description, right? And now when I feed it into my dictionary, the data, it gives us KFC is the nearest, because according to the data as well that I had given, the KFC was the nearest. So, okay, what if we change the content? What we change the query? I'm in Glasgow, and then we see that it changes the function. Now, the function is get current weather, and it also gives location, it gives us whatever argument we need. You can get more creative and start adding, vector databases. One of the best databases I know is Quadrant. And you can also have like a ask you can have like a query, like, when you give data to database, you can ask you can even give biomedical data. So if I ask what are the symptoms of malaria, and if it is present in the database, it kind of gives you the name of the function you have to run is rag, and the argument is the query directly. So this will basically go into the rag function or rag pipeline. So the pipeline has been done. The demo is also done, and I hope this talk was useful for you. You can find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, and the notebook will be available at Sonam 95 PyData 2023. So I would like to take questions if there are.
Good morning, everyone. I have only one question.
Yes.
If I use uh a chat dev, a tool like chat dev, can I make a company like a stage company with programmers, with a Scrum team, with a complete team of programmers? Can I do with chat dev on ChatGPT? Thank you.
If you have to make a company, is that you're asking?
Oh, use a virtual company just for dev. If I want to dev my own app, my own entire web app, I
Okay,
can
okay.
I use ChatDev?
So I got your question now. So there's this new tool called Autogen, which orchestrate all the conversation. You can really use that if you want, like, if you want a whole control over different functions as something like, if you want a product manager and the software and you want them to communicate, the best way is Autogen right now. Yes.
Sure, thank you, Sonam, thank you.
Thank you. uh will the recording be available? Could you share the GitHub again? Yes, my GitHub is Sonam Pankaj 95, and the notebook will be in PyData 2023. Thank you so much, everyone. Like, it was really nice interacting with you today.